Friends, absolutely shameless plug to Bradley and Bradley Real Estate. They have helped Jennifer and I find two amazing houses. So if you are in need for a great realtor, reach out to Will. Again, Bradley and Bradley Real Estate doing great things. Intermittent Fasting 101. All right, I started doing this video last night, but my energy level wasn't high enough to show you how much I truly like, enjoy, and believe in this method of eating. So let's start with some basics that even if you work with a plan other than intermittent fasting, you need to understand, you need to really grasp these. Number one, consistency is king. So whether you choose intermittent fasting, macros, keto, tray method, whatever you want, consistency is king. It is 6 weeks. Give it a good, honest, full effort. And the more consistent you are, the greater the return you're going to see. Number two, our goal, if the goal is reduction of body fat, means we need to be in a relatively consistent caloric deficit. We need to make sure that we're not over-consuming. Pretty basic things to understand, but we have to have that as base knowledge. Number two, we need to work on reducing and or eliminating sugar. Doesn't mean you can't ever have it again. But again, in excess, in a surplus, that is not going to help us. I don't care which plan we choose. Reduction and or elimination of simple sugar. Huge one. Number two, reduction and or elimination of alcohol. Again, not conducive to our overall goal of reducing body fat, overall health, wellness, performance, and happiness. Next, focus on your sleep. The sleep is massively important. Think of this as not 6 weeks, maybe 6 months, but can you do this for 6 years? I am rapidly approaching probably 3.5 years of intermittent fasting, and I absolutely love it. I don't see myself changing from this anytime soon. 90% adherence is what we're looking for, not perfection. These, my friends, are life skills. Meaning if you learn this, if you can implement this, you can take this with you if you move to Colorado. You can take this if you move to Texas. You can take this as you age. These are life skills that will make you happier and healthier. So let's dive into what is intermittent fasting. So you may have heard of time-restricted eating, intermittent fasting, and fasting. Let's start with that. So fasting is going to be when we're going longer periods of time, 24 plus hours, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. That's not what I'm going to talk about here. I'm going to talk about what we're going to call time-restricted eating, meaning that we have blocks of time that we're going to eat and other blocks of time where we're not going to eat. What happens with the majority of men and women that are struggling is it looks like the Wild West, meaning there are no rules, anything goes. We can eat around the clock and we can eat whatever we want. So we're going to start to make some rules. I made this beautiful diagram here. What this represents is from waking up at 6 a.m., going to bed at 11. That's probably fairly typical, give or take a little bit here or there. So on a normal day in the Wild West of nutrition, wake up at about 6 a.m. The first thing we do is we have a giant cup of coffee. But instead of enjoying the rich, full flavor of a great coffee, from Utica Coffee, of course, we throw in 2 spoons of sugar, some creamer, and we mix it all in there. So instantly, calories up, blood sugar up, right? We want to control that. So then we get in the car, we go to work, and then we have a snack, right? Again, we have another peak, which then means we also have to have a drop. And then we have lunch, but we're going to have what we think is maybe is a healthy lunch, and we have it on a wrap, and we have some small chips to go with it. So again, we have another big spike, and then another big drop. And then before we leave, we grab one quick snack for the ride home. We have a big dinner, and then we have snack, all the way up until bedtime. So the issue with that is we have many peaks and valleys, and they tend to be severe. Where intermittent fasting, time-restricted eating does an amazing job is we squeeze that window down, right? We essentially say you have less time to make those peaks and valleys. This example is where I usually have men and women start, which is a 8-hour fasting window and a 16-hour eating window. Meaning, and these are just rough numbers, you could go earlier or later. you wait until 10 a.m. to have anything with caloric value. So that means water, black coffee, or tea up until 10 a.m. Anything before that, and you have already broke your fast, right? Think about that. The word breakfast is breaking a fast. But if we have eaten all the way around the clock and we break that fast really early, have we really fasted? Probably not. So again, 10 a.m., we break our fast with maybe some really thought out foods, maybe some eggs, some spinach, some vegetables, maybe a little bit of fruit, so that that initial spike isn't so high. We're not having just straight, simple sugars. And then we have maybe a healthier lunch. Maybe we have a salad with some lean protein on it. What we're trying to do is, again, squeeze that window from 10 until, that should be 6 p.m. 6 p.m. gives us an 8-hour eating window. So just because the time is condensed, we are going to limit the amount of peaks and valleys we can have. And then through intelligent food choices, we can also reduce the severity, how high those peaks are and how low those drop-offs are. So from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., you're having your meals in a eating window. This works really well. It also gives your body some time to digest all of that food up until bedtime. You're probably going to get a much better night's sleep. There are a whole host of benefits of intermittent fasting. Hence why I've done it for 3.5, coming up on 4 years. So things to think about. It's going to help us control overconsumption of calories. Overconsumption of calories is what turns into excess stores of body fat. So if we can start working on that, we can start reducing excess stores of body fat. Use apps. Use apps. Use apps. Apps are your friends. You have Zero app and you have Fasting Tracker. Both great apps. They will motivate you. They'll show you your streaks. They'll show you how long you've gone for that day. Use apps. If you are going to hit intermittent fasting and you haven't done it for a long time, use apps. Busy, highly active people. This works really great if you're an early riser and you like to get after it and you want your energy levels to stay high. This works really, really well for men and women that just go, 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 go. You keep yourself busy and next thing you know, it's 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and now it's time to break your fast. This is not good if you're not all that busy and you're just kind of sitting around looking for something to do, and that something to do turns into eating because then you just broke your fast. It is extremely simple, very simple. You can actually do this and not change any of your food choices. So if you like to eat really poorly, you can still do intermittent fasting and probably see some decent results without even changing your food choices. I would be derelict in my duties if I didn't tell you to improve your food choices as we go. But it is very simple to understand. There's not a massive amount of tracking. The tracking you need to do is start your app, stop your app, or don't even use an app. Look at your phone, or I'm sorry, your watch. Recommended starting, right? I tell people to start at this 16 hours fasted with 8 hours of eating. Start there. If you're finding that to be really difficult, you could probably do a little bit less, but I think that's a good spot to start. Over time, you can do longer fasts. You can, but don't try to run a marathon before you've run a 5K. Get really good at doing your 16 fasted and your 8 eating before you jump into the deep end. Time tested for thousands of years. Fasting has been around with religion. Fasting is just a natural part of human life as we were hunters and gatherers, all these different things. Intermittent fasting is not new. It's probably one of the oldest. It's kind of ingrained in our DNA. The fuel tank analogy. So I'll use this coffee cup, this empty coffee cup, right? So we'll call this coffee cup your body. And if I continue to pour more coffee into it, more coffee into it, more coffee into it, it's going to spill over and it's going to be all around this coffee cup. Let's change that from coffee to calories. If this is your body and you are consuming extra calories, more calories, more calories, more calories, more calories, and you're not doing anything to burn it off, those calories turn into excess body fat. If we go back to controlling our overeating and squeezing those windows, now your body is very intelligent. It is a great machine, and it says, I need to use these excess stores of body fat as fuel. But if you never get to it because there's always new fuel coming in early in the morning, new fuel coming in right before you go to bed, your body won't tap into those fuel stores. Last but not least, what to expect. If you've never done this, if you've never done any time-restricted eating, you've never messed around with intermittent fasting, a lot of times men and women go, John, I can't do that. I'm going to be so hungry. I agree. If you've never done it, you're probably going to be hungry. That's okay. It is okay to be hungry. It is okay to be hungry, especially if you're carrying excess stores of body fat. Let your body eat, cannibalize those excess stores of body fat. So understand that you have to do things a little bit different if you want a different result. So if you just say, I can't do intermittent fasting, I'm going to be so hungry, you'll never get to see the amazing results that it can produce for you. So in a nutshell, squeeze the eating window. Use an app to track it. Fasting means no caloric intake during your fasted period. So if that means you start eating at 10 all the way up until 10 a.m., water, black coffee, tea, and then if you stop eating at 6, right, that's a big one for people. Stop eating at 6. That means you don't snack all through the night. Water, probably wouldn't drink a lot of black coffee at 6, 7 o'clock at night, but you could do teas as long as there's no caloric value. Intermittent Fasting 101. Hit me with your questions below in the comments, guys. This is a great, great sustainable way to control that nutrition.